I stand to talk broadly about New Clause 2, which I'm very pleased that the Government is engaging on, and the work of my right honourable and honourable friends who have done incredible work to make that happen. I share their elation because, as probably I think the only member who's been in both the Joint Committee under a fantastic chairman and in both committees, I've seen the passage of this bill over the past year or so and been really open and happy with the way that the Government is engaged, including on Zach's law, which will ensure that trolls can't send flashing images to people with epilepsy. And so I share the elation of my colleagues, as I did with the member for Stourbridge when we were very successful in convincing the Government to make that happen. May I just really reiterate the learnings from the Joint Committee and from the committee earlier last year. When we took evidence from these tech giants, and they are giants, it was very clear that, as giants do, because they're so big, they didn't see the damage underfoot that they were causing, the harm that they were doing to those, but also they were blind to it. They chose not to see the damage they were doing. I remember challenging one of the big tech giants as a witness to whether they'd even followed the committee and the harms that they were causing to vulnerable children and to adults. And I was fascinated by the way that they just didn't care, in my view. Their responses were, well, we're doing enough already. We're already trying. You know, we're putting billions of pounds into supporting people who are being harmed by this. They just didn't see the reality on the ground of young people being damaged. And my namesake, Ian Russell, I remember when interviewing him, I was heartbroken that evening because we had children of a similar age, and I just could not imagine having to have that conversation that he would have had with his family and friends through that terrible tragedy. But yes, I would.
I'm most grateful. Is my honourable friend aware that Ian Russell has pointed out that 26% of young people who present at hospital with self-harm and suicide attempts have accessed such predatory, irresponsible and willful online content?
Absolutely. My right honourable friend is right, but also one of the real horrors of it was that Facebook weren't going to release, as I understand it, I don't want to break any rules here, but as I understand it, wouldn't release the content that his daughter had been viewing to be able to help with the process of healing. If I may, though, I just want to touch upon another point which hasn't been raised today, which is about the role of a future committee. I appreciate this isn't part of the bill, but I do strongly feel that within this House we should have a separate new committee for the online safety bill. If I may take that a bit further, and the reason why is that the internet and the world of social media is changing dramatically. The metaverse is approaching very rapidly, and we're seeing the rise in virtual reality and augmented reality. But also artificial intelligence is changing the way that we even believe what we see online at a rate that we cannot even imagine. I have a few predictions myself. I have anticipation in the next few years we'll probably have the first #1 book that's probably written by AI, the first song written by AI. You can now hear online fake voices and impersonations by AI of people, where you'll probably have songs and so on created in ways that fool us, that will fool children even more. I have no doubt that in the coming months and years we'll see a rise perhaps even of children suing their parents for sharing content of them when they were younger without permission. We're going to see a changing dynamic of the way that young people engage with new content and what they anticipate from it.
My friend's making a valuable contribution to the debate, as I expected he would, having discussed this with him from the very beginning of the work he's done. What he's describing is not only the combination of heartlessness and carelessness on the part of the tech companies, but also the curious marriage of an anarchic future coupled with the tyranny of their control of that future. And he's absolutely right that if we're going to do anything about that in this place, we will need to have an ongoing role for a committee of the kind he recommends.
I thank my honourable friend for his comments on this, and I will wrap up shortly, Mr Deputy Speaker. On that point, I've talked before that the use of algorithms within these platforms is, in my mind, very similar to addictive drugs.
Yes.
It gets people addicted, it gets them to change their behaviours, it gets them to cut off from their friends and family, and then it directs them in ways that you would not allow if you could wrap your arms around them and stop it. But they're doing it in their own bedrooms, they're doing it in classrooms, they're doing it in playgrounds. The benefit of this bill, and I wholly applaud the work that's being done on this, yes, there's ways that it can be improved, and I think a committee in the future that looks at ways to improve it as the dynamics of social media changes is going to be essential. But I think what it will be doing today by going through to the Lords will be a major shift forward in protecting our young people for now and for the future. Thank you.